Okay, so we've been talking about various hardware aspects of VMware Workstation. One of those major categories are the virtual network operations we have available to us. And this is something we'll see again once we start talking about ESXi hosts and vCenter and data center virtualization. Virtual networks, hypervisors use software to emulate switches. Um, so the OS has a protocol stack, of course, going all the way down um, to the data link layer. Um, and the virtual machines will simulate amongst themselves actually putting bits on the wire, literally because we're supposed to, we're hiding as much as possible from the guest OS the fact that it's not a physical machine. We can't wave any, we can't hand wave away the lower levels of the OSI model. That's why you'll see, say for example, if you had TCP dump and Wireshark and whatnot running, and you pointed ICMP two VMs at each other with ICMP and started throwing pings back and forth. If you look at that in TCP dump, if you look at that in Wireshark, you'll actually be able to unpack um, layer 2 frames, essentially because the hypervisor is being the switch. If we're talking about a bridged switch, they basically almost puts the VM on the physical network. This is not a good choice most of the time. The other option is a host-only switch, so that the VM is isolated from the physical network, can talk to the host computer. Essentially what a host-only switch does is tie the VM NICs to the host's loopback adapter. And depending on the platform, um, VMs in host-only mode can talk to each other and also to the host machine, but not the network. Now, there are 3 of those virtual switches by default. There is, the first of these is VMnet 0, then there's VMnet 1, then there's VMnet 8. The list is longer than that. You can set up other VMnets if you want to. You may need administrative privilege to do that. So the bridge network option, VMnet 0, will tie the virtual NIC and the physical NIC together. So basically pass the traffic through over to the net. If you have a virtualized machine that needs to reach the net, that might be a good, and particularly to accept traffic coming in, service requests coming in from the net, that might be a good idea. The other option is one of the other options is VMnet 8. VMnet, okay, so VMnet 0, it's bridged. VMnet 1, I believe, is host only. VMnet 8 is NATed, using network address translation, so that anything sitting on VMnet 8 will actually reach out through the hypervisor. Now, what happens here is the hypervisor, unless you tell it to do otherwise, acts like a DHCP server for those for those guest OSs. And it's acting as a DHCP server and as a switch and as a router as well. So essentially, with this situation, your hypervisor is a broadband router. It does everything that a simple 4-port broadband router will do, minus the firewalling. You may get it to do port forwarding. You can get it to do some switching. It won't do Wi-Fi probably, but it will do most of the other stuff. Each VM on a Windows in Workstation 12 Pro, each VM can have up to 10 virtual adapters. I can't think of a reason why you would want to do that, but if you needed to, you could do it. You can also use the virtual network editor to change network configuration options. Say, for example, you wanted to use VMnet 0, but not in bridged mode. If you wanted VMnet 0 to be host-only mode, and VMnet 1 to be NATed, and VMnet 8 to be bridged or whatnot, you could do that. In the virtual network editor, you can also do things like create new LAN segments, which in newer versions of there's a couple ways you can do that actually. So let's look at a graphic. It would sort of look like this. So you've got these three basic switches. 0, which is bridged to the physical NIC. So we've got 0, virtually bridged to the physical NIC. We've got VMnet 8, which is NATed, which will go to local connection and a local connection on the VM, and also through the NAT router, through the VMware server to the physical NIC to reach out. Host-only mode will go from the VM down to your local area, the local NIC, because the local area 1, local area 2, 3, things like that, that's normal for a Win 10 box. And this is talking to the loopback on the host machine. So this traffic, so bridged goes straight to the physical NIC. NAT goes through the local area connection, through the NAT router, down to the physical NIC. Host only stops and never reaches the physical NIC. This is a good way to do host and even network isolation. It kind of also looks like this. So we've got our custom VM nets, 0 through 19. This third option right here, actually, okay. This third option, there's another option right here which would allow you to set up a LAN segment, which is kind of unfortunately hidden. I will do a video on that at some point, if I haven't already. If I have, I just need to find it. If not, I can do it. So these are your options. You can do your custom network. Now these first three options, bridged, NAT, host only, those will tie in to one of those three VM switches I mentioned before. Thank you for watching. I will move on to snapshots, transfer, and Unity in the next video. Then we have a few miscellany, and then finally the summary. So we're almost there. Thank you for watching.